we are good to go.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, I will call to order this meeting of the RWRAC CIP Subcommittee, Thursday, what is it? Thursday, January 8th. Jeanette, will you do the roll call?
Great. Anne-Marie Wolf.
Here.
Asia Philbin.
Here.
Craig Cannizzaro.
Here.
Scott Oldendorf.
Here.
And Steve Foley.
Here.
All members are in attendance.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jeanette. And Jeanette, do we do the pledge first?
Virtual meeting reminders first.
Okay.
I will do that for Asia today. Please mute your microphones. This will help ensure that there's no feedback or background noises that may interfere with the speaker. If a committee member would like to speak or ask a question, please use the raise your hand feature and remember to lower your hand once your question has been answered or you have finished speaking. When you're ready to speak, please unmute your microphone. This is especially important during votes. Do not forget to mute your microphone when finished. As a reminder, audience members are only permitted to speak during the call to the audience unless called upon by the committee, and this meeting is being recorded to satisfy open meeting law requirements.
Thank you for that, Jeanette. And I think now we do have the pledge. Is that correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay. We usually pull it. Apologize for my technical difficulties. Okay, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Are people hearing me? Sorry.
You're good, Asia.
Good. Okay. I'm not hearing anybody else. Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We should change the agenda to Asia's Pledge of Allegiance while driving a car.
I am parked.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
And back, apologize again. Let's see. I think our first item is a safety share. I'm not.
Call to the audience first, Asia.
Call to the audience first. Thank you. Do we have any audience members? Here, I'm not seeing any hands. Okay, before I go wrong, Jeanette, our next item is?
The next item is safety share.
Safety share. Okay, does anyone have a safety share? Well, I feel we were just reminded to safe driving, right? Don't be on your phone while you're driving. Texting also can be hazardous, right? So safe driving. We just did drive up here to Phoenix. We had good weather, but it's been pretty rainy this winter. And those slick roads, especially when it first hits like oil on the roads. Be really safe out there. Be careful with your driving. Jackson, you almost always have a safety share for us. I wonder if you have anything, or does anyone else have?
I'll add the just because there's a lot of information out there about a pretty heavy cold and flu season. I think H3N2 or something, variant K, some tougher strain of flu that's out there. And of course, just listening to Dr. Cullen on a county announcement that the vaccines may not prevent that variant because it wasn't made for that variant, but it will lessen the severity of the symptoms if you did get vaccinated, which is a good thing, and reduce the potential for a mortality or death in some rare cases of flu. So hopefully you got your vaccine. It's never too late, according to her. And just wash your hands and socially distance yourself as possible, and be careful. We still do Wipe Down Wednesday. Yesterday was our day to wipe down all the things that people touch so that you can kind of disinfect. But if you're all at home, maybe you're safe, but that's my added safety share. But the driving one was very good as well. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that, Jackson. That's a really good reminder too. And let's stay healthy in so many ways. I think we have the minutes. Is that our next? I apologize I cannot pull up
Yes,
the
it is.
agenda on my phone. I
Nope.
keep trying. Sorry about that.
You are good. The next item is approval of the minutes from December 10th.
I
move-
had a question. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I was going to move that we accept them, but if you have a question.
Well, I think that's what we can do that in the discussion, or we can discuss it. Do we have a second? Okay, yeah, then let's, my question, I think there was a contractor called out, and I think maybe it was Kiewit. But it says Kiwi. I may be misunderstanding that in the minutes. Do you have them, Jeanette?
I do have them, but I will
looking
have
at-
to search for that.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry
please.
about that, folks. Does anyone else have anything from the minutes? It was kind of a small thing.
I'll just double check that.
Okay.
I'll make a
Yeah.
note to double check that.
Just so you know, it's in the discussion action section under number 1, the first item bullet where it says wastewater side stream Antomix process. He calls the contractor Kiwi.
Ah, gotcha. Thank you.
And Steve, did you want to go ahead with your motion?
Yes, I move that we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, and we have motion second. Any other discussion on that? Okay, and let's hear first through the ayes.
Aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, we've approved the minutes
Okay.
for our last meeting. And then I believe our next item is to discuss the CIP and 10-year.
Jaime, you're up.
Is that Jaime? Okay, all right,
Yep.
thank you.
All right.
Jeanette and Jaime. Take it away.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm gonna share my screen here. Let me know if you can see the spreadsheet and if the font size is readable.
I can read it and I can see it.
Good. All
Looks
right.
good.
So knowing the group here, you're all familiar with the different buckets. So I'll just probably fly through those buckets and focus on the bigger projects that are ongoing. So just going down the list, the first one here, the Corona de Tucson capacity rehabilitation is a project to do some repairs on ducting for the air compressor system and aeration of the basins. RWRAC is the contractor who's designing and constructing that project. It's underway. It includes also some solar panel, not to fully run the facility, but to aid in the reduction of the electrical usage at the site. So that's underway. It's ongoing. And what you see here under FY27, which is the next upcoming fiscal year, is the second part, or basically the wrap up of that project. So that 3.1 is the balance that's going to be expanded next fiscal year. Running down the next set of treatment rehabilitation program, these are the buckets that we do every fiscal year for the maintenance, repair, rehabilitation of treatment facilities. We budget about $8 million every year, and we accomplish those either with QCL if a design is needed, and a job order contractor to basically execute the repair, replacements, or any construction that's related to those activities. And the gray area is the 5-year program, and it's all the way up to FY31 and beyond. 32 through 36 is kind of the second set of 5 years all the way to the 10-year to complete the 10-year outlook for that activity. It's every year we budget about the same amount. We're budgeting a little more in the out years, accounting for age and additional repairs that may be needed as equipment gets older and starts failing with more frequency in the out years. This one here, the Building 14 Central Operation Renovation. We'll talk a little more about the impacts of the Sahuarita treatment facility and interceptor program that are upcoming. This is a requirement to kind of centralize all our personnel and activities, but it's not something that's broken, it's repair, and it's going to make the facility fail. So because of the impacts of the budget of the Sahuarita plant and interceptor, we're just going to take a pause on that relocation of personnel into one central facility, and we're just going to push it out beyond the 10-year point. So at that point, it doesn't make sense to carry it in our program. We'll just cancel it, finish our program in Sahuarita, and accomplish our repairs as we usually do. And once everything settles down after the program is completed, then we'll start relooking at items like this that are for improvements in operation and personnel coordination, but are not necessarily needed for repair, maintenance, and operation of a treatment facility. So for now, we're just canceling that and pushing it out beyond the 10-year program. The next one down is the building for primary clarifiers. That one also was pushed out into the tail end of the 10-year program. These are original 1970s clarifiers. They've been maintained, repaired, and so forth through the years, and it's coming to a point where they're in need of major repairs in some areas. But at this point, we're keeping an eye on them and using the job order contract to do repairs localized in areas that are fixing. We're keeping it running. It's operating. We'll just monitor it and push it out. Again, all of these adjustments are to make room in the next 5 years, 6 years to allow for that Sahuarita program to go through without impacting or getting too much of a peak in our expenditures for the program years. The Treacherous Emergency Backup Power is a grant. We received a grant from Pima, believe it is the term, and we have selected a design builder. They're doing the procurement of the generators, and as the expenses are realized, FEMA or I believe it's FEMA, that they will reimburse the expended amount. So we have to carry the total amount of the project with the knowledge that we'll get reimbursed as invoices are sent for reimbursement. The next one down, Sahuarita Digester Facility, it's underway. Cultural Resources just wrapped up in December. So now the heavy excavation construction will start in the next month or so. Right now, their Kiewit is the contractor who will be completing that digester facility. The site stream Anita Marks here it's not showing any money because it's going to wrap up this fiscal year. It's just showing because it's closeout may extend beyond the completion of this fiscal year. But there are no monies set for that project in the next following fiscal year. The Class A biosolids, this is the PONDAS installation, Tres Rios. It's ongoing on the way. The procurement of the facility, the equipment, PONDAS, is being accomplished, and this amount here will cover the installation of the equipment and any ancillary items that are related to that equipment being installed. Next one down is the Sahuarita treatment facility. You'll see here that the number has been adjusted up to $260-ish million. And the original amount of our planning number was produced by using the standard $25 per gallon for a treatment facility. After Kimley-Horn came on board, they hire a couple of experts basically to update that estimate based on current costs and other facilities that are similar that we can use as an example of what the real cost today is. And they gave us an updated number of $260 million. And that's what we're carrying here. And we kind of spread it through kind of a bell-shaped curve here on the schedule for the accomplishment of the facility and the program.
John, Jaime, let me just jump in. It seems like historically when we're preparing our CIP budget, it's before we've had any engineering effort, and we just come up with, our own internal methodology or use some canned rule of thumb that's out there, like Jaime used, the $25 a gallon type of thing, and we were thinking of an 8 million gallon per day facility, but we never go back and change them. Once they get put into, it's a line item, it's a potential project for the future, it's in there, and it never gets adjusted until maybe after you're ready to do actually doing the project, and then it's like, oh wow, that's way different. And we said, let's do it now. This is, by our internal discussion, we think maybe the worst case, but we don't know what's going to happen with inflation between now and then. So all this takes into account the current, crystal ball that was used by these experts, but it's always subject to additional change, but it's closer. And we think it's worst case because, of course, we're going to do value engineering, and ultimately the size of the plant is still not locked in, whether it's going to be 8 million or something less. So we just wanted to get it out there to make sure that sensitivity is known. That's probably a more realistic number. And we just want to check out how that impacts our finances and what we may need to do as we go forward. So that's my editorial there.
Very good. Thank you, Jackson. So the next one down is the Interceptor Corona de Tucson to Sahuarita. This is, again, another interceptor that is foreseen way into the future, where Corona de Tucson may be connected to the new facility in Sahuarita. Again, this is beyond the 10-year horizon. So we identified, we put it in originally, and after evaluating the possibility of this connection and realizing that it will be probably beyond the 10-year point, we'll just going to cancel it, get it out of the program, and when it's more firm or it's looking like it's going to really happen, then we'll bring it back at that point and show it in the program. So no sense spending time looking at it for something that's going to be beyond the 10-year horizon. The next one down is the Sahuarita to Green Valley Facility Interceptor. This one is the companion project to the treatment facility, and it will connect the Green Valley Wastewater Treatment Facility to the new Sahuarita facility. And this one also was adjusted to about $80 million, 79 is shown here, but we have about one this current year to get the procurement and design started. same situation. We have now the help of the consultants who kind of reach out, research costs, current costs, and updated the forecasted costs or budget for this project. Next one down is Canoa, the Canoa Ranch sewer extension. This is the first phase of the Canoa Ranch, goes from Canoa Ranch intersection all the way south to the rest area. The second phase, which is not shown here, will connect from the rest area all the way to Elephant Head, and at that point we can shut down the RWRAC treatment facility. But this one is starting this year. We're looking at a GMP in the next couple of weeks. We're probably going to show that GMP to the board beginning of February, and we already have the pipe procured and on hand, so the contractor will just start their construction right after being awarded the GMP from the board. And this $8 million is the second fiscal year for this project. It will wrap up in FY27, and that $8 million will cover that completion. The University of Arizona Tech Park SCI augmentation, it's a joint project with the Tech Park EOA. They're the designers and constructors of this extension, and we're just contributing our share of that project. Currently, that's under design on the Tech Park, and we're completing our agreement between the UOA and the Wastewater Department so we can formalize how we transfer funds for our share of that interceptor as it goes forward. It is probably going to extend here based on the timing of their design and construction. So this time may be split and spill into the FY28, but we don't know yet. We'll know more once their contractor is selected and we have a good cash flow kind of schedule of what they foresee being their construction period. The next one down, I'm going to just lump all of these out. These are intersector rehabilitation placeholders. As you know, we do CCTV inspection every 5 years. We do all of our interceptors. We go on a cycle every 5 years. We inspect everything. And we set aside a certain amount of money for each interceptor, based on their age and their materials composition, how susceptible they are to corrosion. And we kind of set aside a certain amount of money to be ready if that CCTV process identify anything that needs repair or replacement. So far, the inspections have been good. We do identify a few smaller defects that we usually take care of through the job order contract, but they're not major, and we haven't identified anything that requires this amount of money right now. So again, to make room for the Sahuarita program, we're pushing those placeholders out. If we were to identify something that needs repair or need an immediate fix, we will use the job order contract, the bucket basically, to make that immediate repair and then plan for a future more extensive repair or rehabilitation of a particular area if it's identified. Next set down are water control system repairs, maintenance, rehabilitation projects. We again have buckets that addresses water control facilities. We have about 22 sites that we maintain and operate, and at any given point we have to, of course, fix things and repair things or make corrections. So those buckets address all of those facilities as needs may arise. The next set is the pump station bucket. Again, similar to the oil control, we have close to 13, I believe, pump stations or so. The right number escaped me. But again, we have to maintain, repair, fix valves, fix coatings, address electrical equipment. So all of those items fall and are addressed through the use of this bucket through the fiscal years. Next setup is the minor pipe and rehabilitation bucket. This is the mayor bucket that addresses pipeline CCTV inspections. Again, we do that 10-year cycle for the smaller 15 to 8 to 15-inch pipe, and they identify every month something pops up. It's an ongoing and very active process. Every time they find a defect, that's a hole in the pipe, crack, utility hit, this is where the monies to do repairs, rehabilitation come from. And as I was mentioning before, we're pushing out the interceptor buckets or placeholders out into the future. If an interceptor was identified during the inspection to need an immediate repair, this is the funding source for doing that type of repair using a job order contractor. And the buckets in gray are in the next 5 years, and the out years, the 5 through 10 years, are shown below those. Just like pipe, we have a similar bucket for manholes. Manholes mostly addresses corrosion. All concrete manholes that are susceptible to corrosion are clean, coated, and brought back to a good condition. So I wanted to note that just like we do CCTV inspections for pipes and interceptors, the conveyance group is now doing CCTV inspections of manholes. So they use a camera, they document all the inspection with photos and videos, and they rate the manhole's conditions depending if it's 1 to 5. If it's a manhole in very corroded, bad condition, it will be rated 5, and this is where the funding comes to do those repairs originate. The sewer utility minor mods are related to other jurisdictions, projects where sewer is impacted, DOT, ADOT, City of Tucson. They do roadway repairs or reallocations or basically construction projects related to the roadway, where sewer needs to be modified or relocated. This is where our portion of the cost of that relocation or repair or impacted adjustment of the sewer comes from. And we just put $100,000 as a placeholder. You never know what the final amount for a given project for DOT will be. And as their project is finalized and we have a better sense of the number, this dollar amount gets adjusted up or down depending on what our contribution to a particular project may be. And this last one here is sort of a bucket because the years 5 through 10 are so far out, we don't have a good crystal ball that goes that far out. But we know that $50 million of CIP expenditures is consistent, average what we usually expend per year. This bucket here kind of plugs the hole, I guess, if you want to call it that way, to make that fiscal years in the 5 to 10 year program reflects $50 million. So we are understanding that we don't know yet what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, but we are pretty sure it'll be around $50 million. So we want to reflect that in our program. And this bottom part here is the impacts of the adjusted salary type program budget or forecasted budget amount, and what the difference to it was. Originally, it was The increase was about $80 million. So as I show, we canceled some projects and moved some projects out into future years to reduce the impact on this 5-year immediate program. So we are at $75 million of increase from our originally forecasted $200 million program. So it went from 260, it went to 260 for the Sahuarita plan and 80 for the Interceptor, our current forecasted amount. And with that, I'm gonna open it up for questions.
Okay, thanks very much, Jaime, for that overview of the entire CIP. I'm trying to think how to break it down. I definitely want to hear from the rest of the committee. I want to kick it off by saying that we want to look at all of the CIP projects, like a review of those in terms of how good the department feels that the CIP will put us in a good shape. Some of the risks that might be involved with like moving the projects out. I think it's important we talk about some of that. And then I'm hoping in this meeting that we can also, maybe touch on for the finance committee meeting, which looks at rates and things like that. If there are any concerns or considerations that was something that the finance committee previously talked about, would be good to know from the CIP group or the CIP subcommittee if there's any concerns that we see there, or in terms of the debt that's being taken on, that kind of thing. So with that, I'm scrolling to see if any of the committee members would like to ask any specific questions. I have a few I wanted to see. I don't see any hands. Okay, then Scott has a question. Go ahead, Scott.
Just some background history, if you could fill me in. I'm just a little confused on the Sahuarita, Green Valley, all that. Sahuarita was, we were connecting it all together, but then I heard that Sahuarita was backing off on certain things or something like that. I'm assuming the whole Sahuarita new facility is still going ahead, but what was that thing that I thought I heard that they were backing off on certain parts of it or something? That's what I just want to understand the history.
Yeah, at the current time, Scott, Sahuarita has indicated that they won't be able to financially participate with the county in this project. And so there's a new plan. The town of Sahuarita is going to redraw their designated management area and basically keep a specific finite area that will be very closely aligned with their current wastewater plant. So I can't remember, Jaime, what is it, a 2 MGD now? They're not looking at, they're kind of landlocked, and so that the DMA that they're redefining or redrawing will be a very close fit for the plant that they have and will continue to run. But all of the remaining DMA, including areas that were joint planning areas, all of that additional DMA will be handed back to the county. And so rather than them participating financially in the project, they'll give us back the DMA, so we have to plan for it. And it will allow us to still likely still build the larger facility so that some of the priorities for growth are in that DMA that Sahuarita has that they're handing back over to the county. So that's what we're kind of working out, all those details. And I think it's a good plan. It allows us to move forward with the full plant and help them with their growth, but we'll receive the connection fees and all of the stuff that goes with it, which will help finance the larger amount. Otherwise, we'd have to build a smaller plant and it would cause some ripples in their growth and economic development plan. So that's kind of where we're at, and we're working out all those details. So they're not going to be like partners in this facility, but we're still working with them closely on a number of aspects. And the DMA is kind of the change that's in process. I mean, did I get all that well enough?
So as I understand it, the Sarita plant is not going to be the Sarita plant. It's just they're going to refocus on their own plant, and then we're just going to be focusing on outside growth, even though it doesn't include Sarita.
Well, it does include it. I guess the town of Sarita proper, they have a boundary, but within that jurisdiction of Sarita, they have a smaller subsection that will be served by their existing wastewater plant. That's a Sarita plant run by the town of Sarita, which will serve a subset of their full political jurisdiction or area. And they're going to hand over other parts of their jurisdiction back to the county to provide wastewater service as a DMA, a designated management area. What you said is correct, but we call the plant we're going to build now $260 million plant, also the Sarita plant, because it's in the Sahuarita area, but we'll come up with some new name for it so as not to confuse people between the town's plant and the county's future plant. Even though they're both, we could throw a few rocks and almost hit one another, just where they are geographically. But the town is basically going to go to a smaller, responsible, designated management area within their town limits. And everything else outside of that designated area that is in their responsibility of a current DMA, they will hand the county. So they will no longer be providing that sewer service. We will fit it in with our future plans out there.
Okay, so just to be devil's advocate, with everything being restructured, keeping the same old of Green Valley and stuff like that, we needed to have this new facility for growth because Green Valley's not able to handle it, or Green Valley getting too old or something like that.
Green Valley would have to be expanded, and it's old. It was in the beginning of 2000s. It's over 20 some years old now, so it'd be a pretty big overhaul. Plus, we need to build an expansion on it. And all of this growth area that we're talking about for the future is down gradient, downhill, and you would have to also build a pump station to pump it back to Green Valley. So for all those reasons, it makes sense to build a new plant at the bottom of the drainage of the areas to be served, so that everything for the most part can gravity flow, and it will satisfy the town's needs, in their area for their intentions, because we're going to work with them. Just like, right now, Pima County, we run all of the wastewater plants in Pima County. And take Marana, for example. Marana has a plant. They actually have, well, I don't know if Rio Vista, I guess, isn't running anymore, but they have a plant over there. But they don't get all of Marana flow. Some of Marana flow goes to Tres Rios. And so it's in the town of Marana, but the service area is in Pima County's responsible area for providing treatment and conveyance. So it's a very similar setup. I mean, the town's going to have an area they are responsible for from a sewer perspective, and that's their existing plant and a defined area that will be served by that plant, and everything else will be handed over to the county. Like I said, very much like the Marana model. Marana has its own specific zone of sewer service and a plant, and much of the rest of the area that is in the town proper flows to existing Pima County areas, like Tres Rios. And so if that makes sense, that's what's going on.
And just a second question, totally different subject. With all these with all these data centers out by the fairgrounds, out by potentially Marana, are they going to be using any of the wastewater for cooling? There's always been that big contention about water. Is there any insight on maybe that?
At the current time, there isn't any plans for that. I mean, I know the one that initially Tucson Water was going to maybe consider some of that, but right now they're not pursuing a data center, so there are no talks with the county. It's, you know, if you're talking about using effluent or reclaimed water, it's whoever owns the water. What are they going to do with it? Are they going to recharge it for groundwater credits? Are they going to provide it for riparian habitat? Are they going to provide it to a data center? That's the respective owners of that decision. But right now, nobody's talking to the county about doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jackson and Jaime, for that background. I think that's important. I want to make sure that we talk about the projects that are being moved out. I think entirely from the 5-year CIP. There was a clarifiers project, and I think the interceptors. I think you mentioned, Jaime, that the clarifiers are from like the 70s, and I guess in that the backup plan, if there is an emergency, would be utilizing one
so-
of the other buckets. Yeah, can you speak to that?
Sure. So the building for primary clarifiers, this project is intended to totally remove the old equipment, chains and flights and all that, and replace it with a new system, either similar or another technology. And the reasoning for that is we annually spend a certain amount of money fixing chains and old pieces of that system. And it's getting to the point where, all right, annually it's getting to be an annual expense, basically maintaining and operating that chain and flight system. So the intent of this project was just to remove it and replace it and start from zero with a brand new system. What we're saying is we'll continue to repair chains, flights, and corroded items in the system as it is, and we'll continue to operate it, make it last 5 more years. And then after we go through the hump of the program and we're back into a stable 5-year CIP program with no bigger expenses forecasted, then we can focus on, okay, now it's a good time to remove and replace all that equipment and put in a new system in. So what we're doing is we'll continue doing what we're doing now, which is maintain, repair, replace as needed for 5 more years. And then we'll tackle the bigger project of removing everything and replacing it with a brand new system. So it's not failing like it's going to be, if it was an emergency, by all means, this thing would be over here and we'll be working on it right now. But it's not. It's something that we know it's coming. It's taking a lot of our time and effort to maintain and repair every year. And it's something that we know at some point we have to tackle it and just remove and replace with a brand new system. But we're not to the point where it's going to fail and it's going to be an impact to the operation of the facility. I don't know if that makes sense. We'll continue the maintenance repair that we know we are going to have to do. So we're consciously making that decision to continue to repair things as they pop up and push out the bigger expense of removing and replacing the whole system to 5 years out into the future.
Okay, thank you for that on the clarifiers. Because it sounds like then it's the impact is more to like the O&M budget and the O&M of that facility being more it could certainly be more efficient and be easier to operate, and that would be the impact that we're seeing of moving that out. But it's not something that you're concerned would
Right.
would become an emergency situation or something like that.
Right. It's not imminent failure. It's not going to fail or impact the facility operation. It's just that it's work. It's intensive in the sense of how much work we have to spend every year maintaining, repairing. Where we can tackle that and continue doing that for 5 more years until we're over the hump of the new facility at Sahuarita, and then tackle it as a project to basically remove and replace all that old equipment.
And I guess
Does
a
anyone?
good, I'm sorry, Asia, just a good example is like a vehicle. You buy a new vehicle and really the only maintenance you have to do is an oil change and tires and windshield wipers, things that wear out in general. But as it gets older, you may have to rebuild the transmission or worse, as things, kind of get age on them. And at some point, the cost of all the repairs as something gets older, maybe it's time to buy a new car. And so it's the same with the primaries. They were built, like Jaime said, back in the late 70s, and now the cost to repair them and keep them functional gets more and more expensive. And at some point, it makes more sense just to replace the whole thing and start over again.
Thanks, Jaime. Thanks, Jackson. Does anyone have any other questions on, say, that this part of the program? Then I was also curious about the interceptors.
This
And
group
I
here.
think they were also, in.
Right. So those are placeholders for interceptors, and you'll see every interceptor is represented there. You see Pantano, for example, has two projects. The Pantano interceptor is older, and portions of it are made out of DIP because they follow the wash, and they need to be either buried or be very close to the wash itself. So they're made out of DIP, which is corrosive, and through the years we've been relining portions of the Pantano interceptor. So we keep an eye on them. Every 5 years we put cameras and see what condition they're in. Portions of it are corroded or starting to get to the point where we'll need to do some repairs, or mostly cleaning up the corrosion and installing a liner. But it's not a hole in the pipe. It's not a broken pipe. It's something that we know we have to tackle at some point. And if that corrosion gets to the point where, okay, that now it's impacting or potentially creating a hole or a breach on that pipe, then we'll use one of the buckets that we were showing farther down the pipe buckets, and we'll make a fix in that particular location. For the same reason, we're pushing out the clarifiers out in the out years. It's something we can monitor and repair as needed as things are identified. We're looking at doing the same here. As things are identified through the CCTV inspection, we'll have a job order contractor go in there and install a liner in that particular location. And we'll push the bigger rehabilitation of if we have, for example, 2 miles of DIP piping at the Pantano interceptor, and we know that we should just take care of it and do the 2 miles in one sitting, this is what it's intended to fund that. But it's not that it's broken or it's in imminent danger of breach. It's just that we know we have to tackle it, and at some point we want to do it, but we can push it out into the future, knowing that we'll be over this hump soon, and then we can start doing these other miscellaneous repairs that we know that are going to basically take us for the next 50 years. We won't have to basically mess with that interceptor once it's rehabilitated, but we can continue to monitor, and we are with periodic inspections to make sure that everything is all right. So that is why we were comfortable pushing it out a little bit. It's not like it's something that's broken and we need to fix it. And we will monitor and repair as things pop up. And once we are over the hump for the program, then we can go back and, okay, now we can tackle and do this longer rehabilitation or project to fix or correct longer reaches of DIP pipe, for example. Not sure if that answered your question.
Yeah, I think that answers my question. Does anyone else have any questions? I'm just scrolling up. I see, Craig.
I have a question. Yeah, it's not particularly to those, but and I apologize. I think I just missed it. But I mean, when you were talking about the Canoa Ranch extension, and there's a phase 1 that's going to get built now, and then the phase 2. When is the phase 2 going to get built? Is that something that's planned? I just didn't know the timeline on that, and that's when you're going to be able to take the RWRAC junction out of service.
Yeah, looking for it real quick here. Here we go. So this $8 million will wrap up the first phase of the Canoa Ranch extension or augmentation. The second phase, right now we're trying to get a whole or a sense of how much the cost to design and construct that second phase would be. And then we'll be able to have an idea of, will it fit here if we reduce other like buckets, for example? Can we reduce a few buckets for a couple of years and just get it all done? Or is it beyond that type of budget that we're looking at for the second phase? So once we have a better idea of what that dollar amount is, we'll be able to see where it fits and what we can adjust that will allow that second phase to happen.
Okay.
But
Okay,
right now,
thanks.
it's not shown in the program right now.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jaime. And are there any other projects like that where we're seeing a phase that's going to need a later phase, but we don't have good numbers, so it's not showing up in the CIP yet, but would. And
No,
if
that's
you
the
could
only one.
also, okay. And then we do have some money for those types of things in that bottom line where you were making every year of the the second 5-year CIP would be 50,000. I'm wondering, we've discussed before, at one time it was maybe closer to 45 and it was climbing, and it seemed like that needed to happen because of the cost of materials and things like that. I'm just wondering if 50 seems like it would be high enough, especially another 5 years out. What kind of conversations has the department had on that?
So we've through the years we've played with 40, 45. That was tight, and it was basically making things difficult every year. So 50, 55 seems to be a good number at this point, and can't say anything out there year 5, 10 into the future. But at this point, 50 seems to be something that covers everything: maintenance, repair, operation of treatment and conveyance, and which is roughly $22 million if you add all the buckets together. And then another portion of bigger projects like the clarifiers or digesters or those expansions of augmentations of interceptors. So that split seems to be working out good, cover everything that we need to do maintenance and also add or repair or improve our existing system. It may be changing in the future, but at this point, 50 sounds like a reasonable amount that's we need to do. Again, with inflation, I don't know what that number looks in 10 years, but for now, it's a good number to plug in there.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. That with the hold at 50. I'm not seeing anyone else on the committee have questions about any of the particular projects or the buckets and how they work. I know we typically get presentations throughout the year to the full committee as well on the asset management program and how these projects are identified. I think that's an important piece of this, right? We're not talking about all of that at this meeting, but Jaime, do you have any concerns in terms of what you see with all of the asset management efforts that the department is making and related to the buckets? And I'm looking at the one you're showing now is the sewer utility minor modifications, like for the projects of, third part or other jurisdictions and stuff, but the other kind of just general buckets. Any concerns you're seeing there or would want to highlight for us about how those, scheduled 9 or 10 million in those buckets is working out?
So they're working out good, and so every year we budget that $10 million, and we have a very long list of defects that they find during the CCTV inspections. That can go anywhere from a hole in the pipe or a little crack on a clay pipe, delaminating pieces of coatings. So that very long list, we always tackle grade 5s, which are like imminent danger failure type repairs right away. So 5s we always tackle immediately. 4s are going to be a 5 if we leave them unattended for a couple of years. 3s are, all right, you need to monitor those. So we always tackle 5s as soon as we find them. 4s we tackle with this budget because we don't want them to become 5s. And as the repairs are performed, there's sometimes grade 3 defects that are right next to a grade 4. So we said, well, we'll fix, because this reach has a 4 and a 3, we'll fix the whole pipe. We're already there. Mobilization for a contractor has already been paid. And just a small amount, a small increased amount on the repair just to fix the whole reach. And then we just knocked out a grade 4 and a grade 3, for example. And we don't have to go back to that reach for 50 years. So that $10 million covered that type of repair and approach that's triggered by the CCTV inspections of our system. At this point, that $10 million has been working good. Our kind of in the back of our mind, we're thinking that at some point that number may reduce if we're all caught up. But right now we're not caught up. We have more work than we can accomplish in 2 or 3 years of this $10 million buckets. But in the future, at some point, we may get caught up, and that's a point where we're not there yet. But it's our wish and our hope that at some point we'll be all in a place where our system is in such a good shape that we don't have to do a lot of repair and maintenance. But we're not there yet, and $10 million for pipe rehabilitation seems to be fitting the balance of removing, completing projects, and adding new ones as CCTV inspections are completed and find new things. Or things are, they worsen with time and they move from grade 2 to grade 3 or grade 3 to grade 4. So that game, I guess, if you want to call it that way, of knocking out the worst ones and then adding new ones or escalating conditions on existing ones, the $10 million seems to keep that balanced at this point.
Okay, thank you for that, Jaime. And Steve, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering about the financial implications of this, particularly the next 5 years with the SWAR expenses. Is that going to create any problems with financing, bonding?
That's a good question. We just identified the dollar amount that's currently being forecasted, and I think we'll work with finance to see how we can make it all fit. Art, you popped up. Do you have a comment on that?
I wasn't sure if you guys were gonna call on me to answer that question or not. So I will, if the committee is satisfied with your response, I will defer to that. We have to run these numbers, but I can tell you unequivocally, increasing by $40 million in your CIP budget and wanting to bond for that is going to have a financial impact on your rates, on your calculations rather, not your rates, but potentially your rates, because it is going to increase to the extent that we bond for that full amount. It's going to increase your debt service, especially if we stay short. It's going to increase your debt service. It's going to put additional pressure on your revenues. So that DMA revenue that we're going to get from the town of Sahuarita is going to need to be pretty tight. We're going to need to have that pretty locked in when we are taking into account this debt service amount. We're going to have to look at pulling some different levers, maybe extending some debt. But it all is going to come together when Jackson and his team submit the overall budget to see where we're at from an operating expenditure perspective or total revenue perspective. So yeah, I do expect there to be, for this large of an increase year over year compared to what we were originally planning for when we adopted the CIP this last year. It will have a potentially a negative impact on our financial situation.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, great question, Steve. And I think that we probably as a full committee and hopefully the finance committee might get some more information on that. I don't know, Art, is that something that's happening in the next week or so? Or Jackson, do we have any idea? And the revenues, go ahead.
The finance subcommittee, I think, is meeting on I want to say the 12th, but maybe I'm wrong.
12th.
I don't know that we'll have, as I explained to Jeanette when we were talking about the agenda for the next finance subcommittee meeting, we are preparing the rate workbook right now. But rather than show you something that is incomplete, I would prefer to wait until after the budgets have been submitted, both the CIP and the operating revenue and expenditure budgets, which is after the 16th, for us to really begin to finalize that workbook for distribution for the CIP committee, the finance subcommittee, and the full committee at large to determine these impacts. But we are beginning to plug in what we do know. So I do believe it would be best to hold off on discussions until we're able to have the full picture and plug this information in to see what levers need to be pulled to make it affordable from the rate perspective.
Okay, thank you for that too.
Yeah, thanks.
I think in terms of the CIP and what we're understanding about the department's projections for the 5-year and the 10-year, making sure that the system is in good shape, that biggest, obviously the biggest expense is Sahuarita, and it does have impact on some of the other things. It looks to me like there's been a lot of thought put into how to be able to do that within the CIP, but it's still, like everyone has said, we've just talked about a lot more in the next few years than it's been. Are there anything else? Any other questions? Sorry, I'm just scrolling to make sure I see everybody. I don't see any other questions or comments from committee members. Typically, we do like to, as part of this meeting, recommend to this CIP to our full committee, that the CIP subcommittee has looked at it and feels comfortable. So does anyone have any other questions to reach that level of comfort? Where's the committee at in terms of this CIP? Questions or
I'm pretty
motions?
comfortable with what's been done. It looks like this is kind of the best of a somewhat awkward situation, but it seems like it's pretty well planned. So I don't have any objections, say that.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the CIP or recommend that it get accepted as it is.
I can second that.
Okay, thank you both. Any further discussion on the proposed CIP? Okay, then all in favor of the proposed CIP, say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays or abstains? Okay, well, thanks everyone. So we have, Jeanette, I think we can bring that to the full committee that we have reviewed the department's 5-year CIP. And of course, we're, an advisory body, and we're a subcommittee of the advisory bodies. We just want to let, our full committee members know that we have reviewed that and this discussion, and it's recorded, so folks can also, go back and
Sounds
see for
good.
themselves. Typically we will bring a shorter presentation maybe of what the subcommittee just had to the full committee.
Jaime is
Go ahead.
scheduled for the January 22nd meeting to provide kind of a shorter overview of what he went through with you guys today. And then during your CIP subcommittee update, you can inform them, or even during Jaime's presentation, you can inform the committee that it's been reviewed by the subcommittee and that you all recommended to the full committee to give it, the okay and go from there. And then the full committee can make a motion to recommend it to the Board of Supervisors, and we can do the letter of recommendation from that. Sound
Okay,
good?
that sounds great. Yeah, thanks, Jeanette. And I think there is a lot of uncertainty still, right?
Right.
But it seems that there's a lot of effort has gone into this to make it appreciate the, updating the costs, and hopefully, like like Jackson was saying, I think that they would be the higher, the worst case costs, but it's still uncertain, right? Okay, so Jeanette, help me out. Sorry, again, I'm like without the agenda.
That's okay. Next agenda item is the meeting schedule. When you guys would like to have the next meeting.
So typically we'd be meeting in the kind of the summer, late spring or summer. Does that work for everyone? And talking about some of these longer term projects and how that feathers in with the rest of the county, then that type of thing. I don't think we need any other meetings before that, but I'll let anyone on the committee have any concerns about that. Okay.
At this
Okay,
time,
then.
Scott Oldendorf does not have any restrictions.
Okay, so
Okay.
we'll keep it
No
we'll keep
travel.
it kind of loose, and then as we get closer to the summer, or if something, Asia, sparks you that you would like to have a discussion, we can mention it at the full committee and then I'll send out a doodle.
Okay, sounds
Sound
good.
good to you guys? All right.
Mhm.
Okay, and then, so is there a call to the audience?
Future agenda items.
Future agenda items.
Almost.
Okay, almost there. Okay, so I mentioned the longer term. Are there any other specific? I'm sure we'll get an update on Saurita, wherever things are at, specifically in terms of that project. Is there anything else? Maybe that Canoa Ranch. I'm not seeing any hands, or I think it's just our typical look at the longer term.
Okay.
Any other? Okay. Thanks, Jeanette.
Now for the call to the audience.
The call to the audience. Yeah, I don't see any folks, but I'm not sure. Call to the audience. Is there anyone from the audience who would comment? Seeing no hands. Nobody speaking up. I think we'll go to the next item.
Adjournment.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we adjourn the CIP for this semi-annual meeting.
I second the
I'll
motion.
second it.
Okay, great. We have motion and second, and so we are adjourned. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Be safe in 2026. Look forward to seeing you at our full committee meeting.
Thank you all. Be safe.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.